The night was colder than death itself. The wind moved across the white land like knives, cutting skin, cutting hope. The alien mother walked slowly, her arms tight around her small child. The ground cracked under her bare feet. The frozen air burned her lungs each time she breathed. Her child was shivering. His skin was pale, his little body shaking under the thin cloth she had wrapped around him. His eyes were wide with fear, but he said nothing. He trusted her. He believed she would keep him safe, but she knew the truth. She had no more strength. She had no more food, and the night was endless. The mother looked at the sky. Once, long ago, stars had meant beauty. Now they meant silence. No tribe, no family, no fire left. Only her and the child, walking into nothing. The wind grew stronger. Her child coughed, weak and tired. She looked at him, and her heart screamed inside her chest. She could not let him freeze. Not him. Never him. She stopped. Her hands shook as she pulled the last piece of cloth from her body. She laid it down, broke small branches from a dead tree, and with shaking fingers made a fire. The flame was weak at first, a small golden spark in the sea of cold. She fed it more, piece by piece, until it grew. Then she did the hardest thing of all. She tore her clothes one by one and fed them to the fire. Her thin dress burned bright. Her scarf turned to smoke. Her hands trembled as she held the last piece of cloth her mother had given her long ago. She kissed it, then dropped it into the flames. The fire grew warmer. The child moved closer, his eyes glowing with life again. He stretched out his little hands to feel the heat. The color returned to his face. For the first time in many hours, he smiled. The mother smiled too. But her smile was broken. She had nothing left to cover herself now. The wind cut her skin, her body shook, and every breath felt like glass. She was burning inside with love, but freezing outside with death. She held her child close, wrapping her arms around him, keeping him in the glow of the fire. She whispered, her voice soft and low, "You will live. You must live." The child looked at her with wide, innocent eyes. He did not understand. He only knew she was there, and that was enough. The flames danced in the night, but they were eating fast. Every second, the fire grew weaker. Every second, her body grew colder. Her vision blurred. The stars above seemed to move, shining brighter. She thought she heard voices, far away. Maybe it was only the wind. Maybe it was death calling. She leaned forward, touching her child's face, and whispered again, "Forgive me. I have nothing left." Then, in the distance, she saw something strange. A light, not the cold light of stars, not the red glow of fire. This was different, strong, white. Moving her heart stopped. Was it danger? Was it hope? She did not know. Her body wanted to fall, but her soul forced her to stay awake. She kept her eyes on the light. It came closer, step by step. The snow crunched. Shadows moved. She could hear boots. Heavy, slow human boots. The mother's arms shook as she pulled her child tighter. She tried to stand, but her legs gave way. She fell to her knees, holding the child in front of her like a shield. Her lips moved without sound. A prayer, a plea. The light stopped only a few steps away. A figure appeared in the storm, tall, wrapped in thick clothes, a face covered by a mask. The sound of metal, the smell of strange air. A human. The mother's eyes filled with fear and hope together. Humans were legends, ghosts from the stars. Some said they were saviors. Others said they were killers. She had no way to know. The child looked at the human, his small hands reaching out. His voice cracked with cold, but he said one word, "Please." The mother's body trembled. She had given everything, her strength, her warmth, her clothes. She had nothing left to give. Her skin was blue, her lips were cracked. She pushed the child forward, whispering with her last breath of strength, "Take him. Keep him alive." The fire behind her flickered. The snow around her turned red where her skin cracked. Her body swayed. The human looked at her, then at the child. His hands hesitated. His eyes behind the mask were hard to read. Was he enemy or was he salvation? The storm screamed around them. The mother fell forward into the snow, her body weak, her eyes still watching the stranger. The fire burned low. The child cried softly, reaching both hands out, and the human stepped closer. The night held its breath. Snow cracked under heavy boots. The figure moved carefully, step by step, holding a glowing lamp in one hand and a weapon in the other. His breath fogged inside his helmet. His visor lit faintly in the storm. The human was alone. His ship had fallen from the sky hours ago, fire trailing behind it like a dying comet. He had survived the crash, but the rest of his crew? Silence. He had not seen them since now. In the frozen wasteland, he saw something strange. A fire. Not natural fire. Someone had made it. Someone was alive here. He slowed, lowering his lamp, and raised his weapon higher. Every instinct told him to be careful. A planet like this was not empty, it was full of secrets, some deadly. The storm cleared for a second, and that was when he saw them. A woman. Her skin pale blue with strange markings, half covered in frost. She was on her knees, almost naked, shivering like a dying flame. Her arms were wrapped around a child, pressing him close to the fire. The sight stopped the human's breath. For a moment, he only stared. He had heard rumors of this species during his travels. Exiled survivors, hunted by their own kind. Fragile, but stubborn. He had never expected to see one alive. The child turned, wide eyes reflecting the firelight. His lips trembled, and in broken words, he whispered, "Help, please." The human froze. His hands gripped his weapon tighter. He knew the rules. No contact. His orders had been clear. Observe only, never interfere. Other species brought danger, disease, betrayal, but those rules were for soldiers. And he was not a soldier anymore. He was only a survivor. He stepped closer. The woman's eyes widened with fear. She tried to stand, her body weak, her knees sinking in the snow. With the last of her strength, she pushed the child forward and whispered words he could not understand. But her meaning was clear. Take him. Save him. The human's chest tightened. He had seen children before, back on Earth. Children running in the streets. Children laughing in parks. Children who would never know what it meant to burn in frozen air. He looked at the boy again. His small hands were raw from cold. His body shook violently. His eyes begged for life. The human's heart battled with his mind. Help the man risk his own survival. Leave the man carry the guilt forever. The snowstorm screamed louder, as if the planet itself demanded his choice. He dropped his weapon slightly. His other hand reached into his coat, pulling out a thick thermal blanket. He crouched, wrapping it around the child's body. The boy gasped as warmth spread over him, his small fingers clutching at the human's arm. The mother watched, tears freezing on her cheeks. Her lips trembled as she tried to speak, but no sound came. Her body swayed, then collapsed into the snow. The human knelt quickly, checking her pulse. Faint, almost gone. Her skin was ice. He cursed under his breath. 2 lives now. 2 lives he could not walk away from. He lifted the child into his arms, wrapping him tight. The boy pressed against his chest, eyes closing in relief. Then he leaned over the mother, struggling to pull her up as well. She was light, too light, like a bird with broken wings. He carried both. staggering back toward the shadow of the cliffs where he had seen cover. But then, he froze again, a sound low, strange, like laughter carried on the wind. He turned his head sharply, scanning the storm with his lamp. Shadows moved in the distance, tall, thin figures with glowing eyes. The child whimpered softly, as if he recognized them. His small voice broke through the storm. Hunters. The human's blood ran cold. He pressed the child tighter and adjusted the weight of the mother in his arms. His hand reached back for his weapon, but he had only a few shots left. Against many, it would not be enough. The hunter's shapes grew clearer. Long arms, sharp weapons. They moved with hunger in their steps, drawn by the fire, drawn by weakness. The human gritted his teeth. He had chosen life. He had chosen to save them. Now he would have to fight for that choice. Snow swirled, covering everything in white. The fire behind them flickered, small and weak. The woman's breath rattled faintly in his arms. The child's tiny hand gripped his coat, refusing to let go. The hunters were coming closer. Their glowing eyes never blinking. Their laughter mixing with the storm. The human took a deep breath, his body steady. He whispered to himself, almost like a promise, "No one dies tonight." Then he raised his weapon toward the shadows, and the storm went silent, waiting for the first shot. The storm was howling like a living beast, shaking the frozen world with its endless roar. The human stood in the middle of it, holding the alien child close, the alien mother weak in his other arm. Ahead of him, the shadows of the hunters moved, tall and sharp like monsters carved from ice. Their glowing eyes cut through the white wind. The human's weapon shook in his hand. Not from fear he had seen war before, but from the weight of choice. A single man, with only a few shots left, against a pack of predators. He could not win. He knew that. The child felt his hesitation. His small hand grabbed the human's sleeve tightly. His eyes, wide and shining with tears, looked straight into the visor of the human's helmet. "Please." The boy whispered, his voice broken, almost lost in the storm. That one word carried more weight than 1,000 orders. It was not just a cry for help. It was a command of the soul. It was innocence demanding to live. The human's heart twisted. He had promised himself never to care again, never to get involved. War had taken too much from him already. His crew, his family, his planet far away again. He had built walls inside his chest. But now, those walls were breaking. He looked down at the boy. The child's face was full of fear, but also full of something else, trust. Trust that the human would not let go. The mother stirred weakly in his other arm. Her lips moved, but the sound was too faint. Only the boy understood. He whispered quickly, his words trembling. "She says, 'You are the only one now.'" The hunters laughed in the distance, a cruel, echoing sound. They had seen weak prey before. They enjoyed it. The storm bent around their tall shapes as they spread out, ready to strike. The human crouched, lowering the boy to the snow for a moment. He pressed the blanket tighter around the child, then took his weapon in both hands. The boy grabbed his arm desperately. "No, they kill you. They kill us." The human looked at him through the mask. His voice was deep, steady, carrying a strange warmth even in the storm. "Listen to me," he said. "I will not let them take you. Not you, not her. You hear me?" The boy's eyes filled with tears. His small body shook harder. But he nodded. He believed the hunters moved closer, their eyes glowing brighter. They raised their blades, long and sharp, carved from black crystal. The storm seemed to bend toward them, as if the planet itself feared them. The human fired the first shot. The blast cut through the snow like fire, striking one of the hunters in the chest. The creature fell with a scream, smoke rising. The others hissed, their voices sharp and furious. The boy covered his ears, crying out. The mother's head rested weakly against the snow, her body too cold to move. The human fired again, hitting another hunter. But his weapon clicked after that low power. Too few shots. Too many enemies. The hunters laughed again, louder this time. They moved faster, circling. The boy screamed, "Run! Please, run!" The human looked at him and then at the mother. Running would not work. The mother could not move. The boy could not survive the cold without fire. If they ran, they would die slower, but they would still die. The human took a step forward instead. He raised his weapon like a shield. His voice, low and calm, cut through the storm. "If you want them," he said, "you'll have to take me first." The hunters paused, surprised at his defiance. Prey was not supposed to fight. Prey was supposed to beg. The boy looked at the human with wide eyes. For the first time, he saw something new in this stranger. Not just a survivor, not just a human, but a protector. The boy's heart pounded. Something stirred inside him, something old, something hidden. His skin glowed faintly, a light under his veins. He did not understand it, but he felt it. His fear became a spark. His voice, small but strong, carried over the snow. "Leave us?" He shouted at the hunters. The glow in his body pulsed brighter. The hunters hissed and took a step back, their glowing eyes flickering. The human saw it too. His own eyes widened behind the visor. The boy was more than a survivor. He was something rare, something powerful. The mother coughed weakly, her eyes opening for a second. She looked at her child, then at the human. Her lips moved again, and this time the human heard a faint whisper. "Protect him," the hunter screeched, furious at the sudden light. They raised their weapons to charge. The human stood tall, weapon ready. The boy glowed brighter, holding on to the human's leg. And in that frozen storm, with enemies closing in, 3 broken souls stood together. Not prey. Not alone, the hunters leaped forward. The night exploded into chaos. The storm split open with a scream of steel and fire. The hunters charged like shadows with teeth, their long bodies bending in ways no human should bend. Their blades glowed with black fire, cutting through the white snow as if even the cold feared them. The human gritted his teeth. His weapon buzzed low in his hands, almost out of charge. He fired once, the blast tearing through the storm and striking a hunter in the chest. The creature twisted and fell, its body hissing into the snow. But the others did not stop. They only grew faster. The boy clung to the human's leg, his glow flickering faint like a candle fighting the wind. The mother lay behind them, her breath thin, her eyes heavy. The hunter's laughter rang out, sharp and cruel, echoing across the frozen night. The human stepped forward, placing himself between the monsters and the helpless. His boots sank into the snow. His heart pounded. His mind screamed, "You cannot win." But his voice was steady like iron. "Come then," he said. The first hunter lunged, swinging a blade at his chest. The human twisted, the edge of the weapon grazing his armor, sparks flying. He swung his rifle like a club, smashing it into the creature's jaw. Bone cracked, and the hunter fell with a hiss. The second came from the side. Too fast, too close. The human had no time to aim. He raised his arm instead, the blade slicing deep into his armor. Pain roared up his side. He shouted, driving his fist into the hunter's throat. The creature stumbled back, choking. The boy screamed. His glow pulsed brighter, waves of light pushing into the storm. The hunters hissed, shielding their eyes for a moment. The human felt at the child's strange power. Not just light, not just heat. Something more. a force that made the hunters hesitate, but the glow was weak. Fading with the boy's fear, the human knew, I have to buy him time. He stood taller, ignoring the blood dripping from his wound. He raised his weapon again, firing one last shot. The blast tore through another hunter's chest. The rifle beeped. Empty dot. The hunters howled in victory. Their eyes blazed. They circled like wolves, blades ready. The boy shouted again, tears streaming down his frozen cheeks. Stop. Leave us. For a heartbeat, the storm itself seemed to pause. The snow swirled slower. The hunters froze in place. The boy's glow flared bright, brighter than before, spreading across the snow like a rising sun. The human shielded his eyes. The hunters screamed in rage. They staggered back, their shadows stretching long and broken in the light. The mother opened her eyes for a brief second. And through the glow, she saw her child not weak, not small, but burning like a star. She whispered with the last of her voice, "He is the key." The hunters regrouped. They were afraid, but hunger was stronger than fear. With snarls, they rushed again, faster, louder, furious. The human braced himself. He had no weapon now, only fists and courage. He tightened his grip on the broken rifle, using it like a blade. The first hunter leaped. The human swung with all his strength. The rifle cracked against the creature's skull, snapping bones. The second drove a blade at his chest. He blocked with his arm, the metal slicing through armor and flesh. Blood spilled, but he did not fall. He roared back, punching the creature into the snow. The boy's glow flared again, burning hotter. The snow around him melted, steam rising into the night. His small voice carried like thunder. Go. The hunters stumbled back, their blades shaking. For the first time, their laughter was gone. Their glowing eyes dimmed. They looked at each other, uncertain. The humans saw it. He had fought enough battles to know fear when he saw it. He took a step forward, his body broken but unyielding. You heard him, he growled. Go. The hunters hissed one last time. Then, like shadows dissolving into night, they retreated into the storm. Their glowing eyes fading until only snow remained. Silence fell. The human dropped to one knee. His breath heavy, blood staining the snow. His vision blurred, but he forced himself to stay upright. He turned toward the boy. The child's glow dimmed slowly, fading back into his small, trembling body. His knees buckled, and he fell into the human's arms. The mother's weak voice broke the silence. He saved you. The human looked at her. Her eyes were glassy, half closed. She was alive, but barely. He lifted the boy into his arms again, then knelt beside her. We have to move, he said. More will come. The storm screamed once more, as if warning them. He tightened his grip on both of them, rising despite the pain. His body was broken, but his will was fire. And somewhere in the blizzard, far away, the hunter's laughter returned. Not close, not gone. Waiting. The night was not finished. The snowstorm had calmed for only a breath, but the silence was a lie. The hunters were not gone. They were waiting, hidden in the white walls of the blizzard, their glowing eyes watching from afar. The human knew it. His wound burned, blood dripping into the snow, staining it dark. His rifle was useless now, only a cracked piece of metal in his hand. He carried the boy in one arm, the mother in the other, staggering through the storm. Each step felt heavier than the last. The boy stirred weakly. His glow had faded, his power drained. He opened his eyes just enough to whisper, "They. Come back." The mother, half conscious, lifted her head slightly. Her lips trembled as she spoke in a broken voice. They never. Stop. The human clenched his jaw. His mind raced. They needed fire. Fire was life. Fire pushed the cold away, and fire frightened the hunters. Without it, they would not last another hour. He lowered them under the jagged edge of a frozen cliff, where the wind was weaker. He dropped to his knees, pulling pieces of metal from his gear, trying to spark something, anything. But the storm had eaten everything dry. His hands shook. His vision blurred. The cold was winning. The boy cried softly, clinging to his mother's hand. The human's frustration boiled inside him. He slammed the broken rifle into the snow. "Come on, come on." He shouted at nothing, and then something moved. The mother's eyes opened wider. She saw the dying fire pit they had left behind, the last place where her clothes had burned. A memory struck her. The fire she had made with her own sacrifice. The only reason her son was still alive. She turned her head, looking at the boy, then at the human. Her eyes carried something heavy, something final. "No," the human said quickly, reading the look in her eyes. "Don't, you can't." But she was already moving. Weak, trembling, she crawled out into the snow. Every motion tore her body like glass, but she pushed forward. She grabbed a broken branch, half buried in ice. Her fingers shook, her lips cracked, but she held on. The human tried to stop her. He reached out, his voice hard. "You'll kill yourself." She looked back at him, and for the first time, her eyes were not afraid. They burned. Not with heat, but with a fire inside her soul. "For him," she whispered. The boy cried louder. "Mother, no." She broke the branch across her knee, sparks flying from the frozen wood. She smashed it against a rock again and again until smoke rose. Her hands bled, but she did not stop. The wind whipped at her skin, tearing it open. But still, she struck. Finally flame. A tiny, trembling flame. She cupped her hands around it, shielding it from the storm. She fed it with her hair, pulling strands loose, burning them without hesitation. The flame grew. She pulled the last strip of cloth from her own body, pressing it into the fire. The human stared at her, his chest tight, his throat burning. She was tearing herself apart to keep her child alive. The fire roared brighter. Orange light spilled into the snow, pushing the shadows back. For a moment, hope returned. But it was not just fire the hunters saw. It was a challenge. They screamed in the distance, their voices like knives scraping against stone. The sound shook the cliff. They were coming. All of them. The mother rose, barely standing, holding the burning branch like a weapon. Her skin was raw, her body thin. But in her hands, the fire became something holy. The human stood too, lifting his broken rifle. He looked at her, shocked by the strength in her eyes. "You can't fight," he said. "I can burn," she answered. The hunters appeared in the storm, dozens of them, their eyes blazing with hunger. They moved slowly this time, wary of the firelight, hissing at its heat. The mother stepped forward. Every step left blood in the snow. She raised the burning branch high. "For my son," she shouted into the storm, her voice raw but unshaken. "For his life I burn." The hunters rushed. She swung the branch, flames scattering, sparks exploding in the night. One hunter screamed as fire touched its skin, recoiling into the snow. Another lunged, but she thrust the burning wood into its chest. Smoke and fire bursting. The human joined her side, swinging the broken rifle like an iron blade. Together, they fought, one with steel, one with fire. The boy watched, tears streaking his frozen cheeks, his small body shaking. He had never seen his mother like this, weak in flesh, but stronger than the storm itself. One hunter broke past them, leaping toward the boy. The mother screamed, hurling the burning branch. The fire exploded against the creature's face, sending it writhing into the snow. The flame was almost gone. The branch was nearly ash. The human swung again, his body screaming in pain. The mother grabbed another stick, pressed it into the dying fire, and raised it again. But her body could not hold any more. Her legs buckled. She fell to her knees, still clutching the fire, refusing to let it die. The human pulled her back, dragging her toward the boy. "Enough," he shouted. "You've done enough." Her eyes turned to him, wide and burning with tears. "Not enough. Until he is safe." The last flame flickered, small and weak. The hunters circled again, their laughter returning, echoing in the storm. The boy's glow returned, faint but steady as he crawled to his mother's side. He held her hand, his small voice breaking. "I won't let them take you." The hunters raised their blades. The fire crackled one last time, and the night prepared to swallow them whole. The last flame cracked, then died. Darkness fell again, heavy and cruel. The hunters closed in, their glowing eyes circling like wolves around a cornered prey. The human's breath came ragged, his body trembling from blood loss. His weapon was broken, his strength nearly gone. Beside him, the alien mother clutched the boy's hand, her own body too weak to stand. The boy's glow flickered faintly, pulsing in rhythm with his heartbeat. He was afraid, but his fear no longer made him small. It made him burn, even if the light was still dim. The human pulled them both up. "We move," he said, voice sharp, almost a growl. The mother tried to protest, but he silenced her with one look. He lifted her onto his back, carrying the boy in his arms. His muscles screamed in pain, but his will was iron. The hunters shrieked and gave chase. Their long limbs cut through the snow faster than shadows, faster than wind. The human staggered forward, boots sinking deep into the white ground. His eyes searched the storm, desperate for anything: a cave, a rock, any shelter. Then, through the blur of snow, he saw it, a structure, half buried in ice. Old, ancient. Its walls curved like stone, but its surface glowed faintly with lines of alien symbols. The boy's eyes widened. His voice trembled. Safe. There. The human pushed harder, his breath like fire in his chest. The hunters screamed behind him, their voices closing the distance. Closer, closer. He reached the massive door, frozen shut, sealed by centuries of ice. He slammed his shoulder into it. Nothing. He kicked with all his strength. Still nothing. The door did not move. The hunters' shadows grew longer, their laughter louder. They were almost upon him. The human turned, raising the broken rifle like a blade, ready to face them head-on. His body shook, but he stood tall, a wall of flesh and steel. "Stay behind me," he commanded, but the boy stepped forward. His small hand touched the frozen door. His eyes closed. His glow brightened. The ancient symbols lit up, one by one, spreading across the wall like veins of fire. The storm itself seemed to pause. The ground trembled. The hunter stopped, hissing in fear. The boy's voice, soft but clear, spoke in a tongue older than stars. Words not his own. Words that carried through the storm. Open. The door cracked. A low rumble shook the ground. Slowly, painfully, it split apart, revealing a dark passage inside. Warm air spilled out, thick with the smell of old earth and forgotten fire. The boy collapsed, his glow fading. The human caught him, pulling him close. He did not hesitate. He carried both child and mother inside. The door sealed shut behind them, cutting off the storm, cutting off the hunter's screams. Silenced, the human fell to his knees, laying the boy down gently. His chest heaved, his blood dripping into the dust of the old shelter. The mother crawled beside her child, holding him tight. The walls glowed faintly, casting strange light across their faces. Symbols moved like rivers, alive, pulsing in rhythm with the boy's glow. The human looked around. This place was not just a cave. It was something ancient. Something powerful. He pulled off his helmet, letting the warmer air touch his face for the first time in days. His eyes narrowed. What is this place? The mother's voice was weak, but steady. Our ancestors built it. A refuge, but only the chosen can open it. Her gaze fell on her son. The boy stirred, opening his eyes. His glow returned, faint but steady. He looked up at the human and whispered, "You saved us." The human shook his head. "No, you saved us." But the peace was short. A loud thud echoed against the door. The hunters were outside. They had seen the light. They had heard the command, and they would not give up. The boy's small hand gripped the human's arm. They will break in. The human's jaw tightened. He looked at the walls, at the strange lights, at the forgotten machines half buried in dust. "Then we find another way," he said. He stood again. Pain shooting through every muscle, but his eyes burned with defiance. He would not stop now. Not when they had come this far. Another thud shook the door. Cracks spread through the ice above it. The hunter's laughter seeped inside, cold and sharp. The chamber glowed with strange light, alive like a beating heart. Symbols pulsed across the walls, responding to the boy's touch, as if the ancient shelter had been waiting for him all along. Warmth spread through the room, chasing away the cold of the storm. But outside, the hunters did not rest. Their claws scraped against the sealed door, their screams echoing like broken horns. Each impact shook the ground, cracks spreading through the ice above. The refuge was not safe forever. The human stood guard, broken rifle gripped in bloody hands. His armor was torn, his body weak, but his eyes were sharp as steel. He had fought too much to give up now. The mother lay against the wall, her arms wrapped around her child. She stroked his hair gently, her lips trembling but firm. "You are more than I ever dreamed," she whispered. "More than I can protect." The boy looked at her, then at the human. His glow returned, brighter this time, steady and calm. He did not cry. He did not tremble. Something inside him had awakened. The human stepped closer. "Listen," he said, his voice low but strong. "They will break through. When they do, I'll hold them back. You two run deeper into this place." The mother's eyes widened. "No. If you stay, you die." He gave her a hard look. "If I don't, all of us die." The boy grabbed his hand suddenly, small fingers gripping tightly. His glow seeped into the human's skin, warm like fire. "No," he said softly. "You are not alone. Not anymore." The human froze. For a moment, he felt it something powerful, something alive flowing from the boy into him. His pain dulled. His strength steadied. The chamber's lights pulsed brighter, responding to both of them now. The mother's eyes filled with tears. She whispered, half in awe, half in fear, "He shares his light with you." Another crash shook the door. The hunters roared, closer than ever. The boy stood, his glow rising around him like a shield. He raised his hand to ward the door. The symbols on the wall flared in answer. The hunters' screams grew louder, but now there was hesitation in their sound. The human crouched beside him, steadying his small shoulders. "Easy," he said. "Don't burn yourself out." The boy's voice was clear, echoing in the chamber, though it was barely a whisper. "They cannot enter. This place will protect us." The symbols blazed. The ground shook. From deep within the walls, ancient machines awoke, rusted gears grinding, stone shifting. A hum filled the air, old power returning. Outside, the hunters shrieked. Their claws scraped harder, desperate. But when they struck again, the door burned with light, throwing them back into the snow. The human exhaled slowly. He looked at the boy, almost in disbelief. "What are you?" The boy tilted his head, his glow dimming back to a soft warmth. "I don't know. But I know I must live." The mother touched his cheek. Her voice broke as she whispered, "You are the last of us." The human's chest tightened. He had seen wars, seen whole worlds fall, but this moment struck him deeper than any battle. This was not just survival. This was the spark of something greater for the first time in years. He felt something he thought was gone forever. Hope. He sat down, leaning against the wall, his body finally giving in to exhaustion. The boy curled beside his mother, and for a short moment they all breathed in peace. But peace was fragile. From his pack, a faint crackle came. The human froze. He reached inside and pulled out a small device's emergency communicator. It flickered weakly, static filling the air. Then, through the static, a voice, ... Lieutenant. Do you copy? Respond, if alive. His crew. Somewhere out there, they were still searching. The mother looked at the device with suspicion. The boy's glow dimmed as he stared at it too. The human held it tightly. He knew what this meant. If he answered, his people might come. Rescue, safety, food, warmth, but also questions. Rules, orders. Would his people accept the alien mother and child? Or would they see them as enemies? The storm outside screamed again. The hunters' voices carried on the wind, distant but unending. They would not stop hunting. Not ever. The human stared at the communicator, then at the mother and child beside him. Their eyes were on him, waiting for his choice. He pressed the device to his lips, and the screen flickered. Waiting for his voice, the chamber fell silent. The boy's glow pulsed faintly. The mother's breath shook. The hunters laughed in the distance, as if mocking. The human closed his eyes and whispered into the static. The sound cut off, the screen went black dot, and the story was not over.